Today is Saturday, October 22nd, 2022. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 43, Week 5.
Just before the merge. Yep, we do 2 shows a week here. We do a recap right after the episode occurs, and then we come back on Saturday to get together with our other Survivor buddies and talk some more about that episode and some more about possible predictions for what could happen next. Because in spite of everything they've done to our favorite show, we still enjoy it, and we enjoy getting together and talking about it. It is a lesser version of the show that we initially loved, at least at this point, but there's still some good parts, and they're parts that we've been enjoying. Not everybody. Some folks certainly have reservations, and it's tricky pre-merge with some of this stuff, and I think we're going to get into that a little bit in this week's listener feedback show. There's certainly a mixture of how people are responding to the season so far, so we'll chat about that a little bit. Is there anything we need to cover before we
No, I was
going?
Just thinking about you were wishing we were still interviewing because you read the interviews with Geo, and there were questions that you had that nobody asked.
Yeah, they don't quite get it.
And it's like, I wanted to ask that.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
well, it is what it is, as you are fond of saying.
Yes, I am.
Until it ain't, as I like to reply.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's kick it off with Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Wow, even though, again, it was the famous hour and we got one challenge, but you know what? I don't care. There was a lot of content and it was jam-packed. So let me let out a great big woo! And this is for Geo and somewhat Ryan. Sing with me, guys. Let's go. Na, 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 na. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. You know, I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm sure you talked about it in your recap, and other callers are going to say it too. You never throw a challenge. That's a catastrophic, terrible mistake. I don't know what Ryan was drinking there, what Kool-Aid he had in his goofy head there, but my goodness, what are you doing, you goofball? Man, he was so lucky that they didn't blindside him, and Gio was seen as a bigger threat from a strategic point of view, and now that we got the merge, it looks like coming next week, that probably was the right move for the blue team, because you don't know where Gio's loyalties would have lied, and that he had an advantage, too. But anyway, guys, what a solid episode, guys. Again, Gabler has been dodging some big bullets. I think now, right, guys, the yellow team has the numbers now because they only lost Mariah in the premiere, right? And then the red team lost 2 people. Now, blue, who would have thought the most dominant team, blue, in the beginning? Now, they lost back-to-back challenges and had to really play their hands now. The thing that I was shocked with that they all decided to risk their vote when they went to that island there, because Jesse, but I guess it might not hurt Jesse now, because now that there's a merge, because he said it's a risk with only 4 people. We'll see with the merge. And remember how they do the team thing now, how you got to earn it. So I don't know if that's going to hurt him or not. And then what's her name, Janine? I don't know if that's going to hurt Janine, her losing her vote, because guess what? She has an idol, unless they can blindside her when she least expects it. But this was a great episode, guys. And I was worried for Cassidy, because I was really starting to like Cassidy until she was pulling a Lindsay there, like James and Carla Gabler was saying. I'm like, not again. Another blindside wasted because of an emotional person. James is right. You have the numbers, and people react because she wanted Rhino. But I'm glad that whatever they said to her, they got her to vote Gio, and they didn't have to send her a pack. And there was something we didn't get to see. We'll see if there's anything on the extra clips or with Gio's interview there. But man, guys, solid blindside. Clearly, Gio and Ryan didn't see it coming. Now we got the merge. Who knows what's going to happen, guys? More content. Hopefully, I'm a 90-minute episode next week. Well, I'm going to watch the extra clips, guys. Take care. Woo.
Whoa, thanks, Pete. Yeah, there's a couple clips. There's a really funny one with Gabler and Sammy going back and forth.
Yeah.
Nothing much comes of it, but yeah, you can see that ongoing battle between
I liked
them.
it when he got out on the whatever they call that,
The raft. When they finally got out there to fish.
Yeah, and he's like, "What am I doing out here alone with this guy?" What was I thinking?
Why did I invite him? Yeah.
Ellie tried to go with him, but
Gabler shut her down. That was she managed it, but I don't know.
No, we don't need you. It's not good with the third person. No.
Yeah. I don't know why she let that pass.
Well, and she said,
Maybe
"Well,
it's
then
just
I'll
easier.
stay here and do some laundry."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay." The men go out and do the fishing.
I wonder if she was testing him or winding him up or
I don't know. I
what that
kind of
was
thought
exactly.
she said that deliberately.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it.
I won't help bring home the bacon. I'll just I'll stay here and do
I'll
the laundry.
do women's work and while the men go out and fish.
Anyway, I thought it was cute if she was doing that deliberately. So.
Yes, and I think the thing I'm most interested in after our rewatch with regards to Janine is that no vote carries that clause on it. And it said, no other vote-related advantages can be active while your vote is suppressed, while you're under the no vote. And that...
but that doesn't seem to apply to her immunity idol.
It's not an immunity idol. It's an immunity bracelet that came from a Beware advantage. And it said on the no vote that any advantage-related vote or vote-related advantage could not be in play. I mean, I'm sure they asked, but I'm curious if we'll get some clarity on that, because she could potentially, there's certainly a way that you can read and interpret that and go, all right, well, I guess she doesn't have an immunity bracelet right now. It's going to reactivate after this next tribal council, but...
when she gets her vote back?
Yeah.
Well, we just don't know that for sure.
Probably not.
Probably won't.
I think you're right, but there's a possibility that it's going to be a dud for one tribal council, and then it'll come back up again and be active. That could happen.
But that would be a shocker if she played it and they said, "Oh, sorry, no can do."
Right. That would be a throwaway. Wouldn't get it back at that point.
You don't think they'd give it back? Just say, no, you have to hang on to it. You can't.
No. You go to play it, fizzle, you're done.
Okay, but you don't know that for sure.
No. I don't think we've been through this scenario, so. Yeah, thanks, Pete. Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanne, Stacy, and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling with my listener feedback. I hope that everyone enjoyed this episode. I thought it was another clear winner. Even though Tribal Council didn't go exactly as I was hoping, I thought there were a lot of great moments this episode and some really good comedic relief. Owen stumbling upon Ellie and Janine finding the advantage and reading it was really fantastic. Especially when they initially tried to hide it from him and then Ellie's like, "Oh, do you want to see it?" I'm thinking, yeah, they stumbled upon you. This is how it works. Now you're going to have to show them. I only wish that Owen could have found a way to extort them out of the advantage. Maybe he could have offered to them that, hey, if you give me the advantage in your beads, what I'll do is I'll get the idol and then hold on to it for our alliance. It's either that or you guys don't get an idol because I won't give you my beads. It would have been interesting seeing if he could have made that play out. I did have the right tribe losing this week, which is exciting because I knew I had a chance of getting a vote-off point, but Unfortunately, I had Cassidy going home, and it didn't end up working out, but hey, at least I didn't have Gio as a save point. That would have been really terrible. Does anyone else find it weird at the challenges when someone loses and Jeff says, sorry for you? It sounds like something Tommy Wiseau would say in the movie The Room, and I've actually never heard anybody in my everyday life say that. After the challenge, Ryan went a little bit crazy, eh? Does anyone remember in Billy Madison, the movie, when he's doing that decathlon, he gives this really dumb answer, and the guy says, you know, that answer was so dumb, you made everybody else in the room stupider from hearing it. That's how I felt watching Ryan try to disguise this whole thing and talk to people. It felt really dumb, especially when he's telling, oh, I don't want you to get in trouble with your alliance. You know, the vote's on me. That's okay. I thought it was really bizarre, and I don't think he's going to enjoy watching that on TV. I forgot to mention that Sammy and Gabler interaction you guys touched on the beach. That was really funny. For the vote this week, I was really surprised that they decided to stick with Gio. To put it in chess terms, I think they chose to get rid of a pawn when they could have gotten rid of a knight in Cassidy. I think that might be a move that James comes to regret later in the game. I think Gio wasn't posing any threat and was kind of low-hanging fruit, and they could have gotten him off any time in the game, but anyway, that's the way that worked out, so no vote off point for me. I got a question for you guys, though. Who are you most excited to see play post-merge? I'm really looking forward to seeing how Sammy plays and who he makes alliances with. I think he's been playing better every week, and I look forward to seeing how he does with the rest of the game. Well, that's it for me. I hope everyone has a good weekend, and just take care.
Thanks, Robert. Yeah, Sammy's like an agent of chaos. He is constantly stirring and making things unstable. That's how I think about Sammy.
He seems to hide it well, at least from what they've shown us.
Yeah, it does appear that he can mask all that, but he's certainly at work and can be called out on it if he's not careful. Yeah, it should be interesting to see him and how Cody responds to being in the bigger group. Is he still going to work an alliance with Jesse, or will he be shopping around for other partners that have more power in the game?
I want to watch Miss Carla go.
Yeah, definitely. That's one to watch too.
Oh yeah.
And James is the sleeper, really.
I think so too.
There's something there. And how will Ellie be able to? How will she respond to what's going on and all the changes? And will she be able to find a majority somehow?
I think we're going to find out that Ellie's not as good a player as she thinks she is, because she thinks she's totally reading Gabler.
Yes.
Her and Janine both are just 100% convinced that they're reading their tribe, and they're not.
So as wrong as they were about the guys in Baca, Cassidy and Carla seem to be dialed in on Gio and Ryan and Coco to the other extreme, and how bad they were playing.
Yeah. Well, I think Cassidy's a little more all over the place, but Carla and James seem to be able to be grounded, and they're willing to vote out that, yeah, okay, we can switch to that person. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
they were seeing paths forward either direction.
Yeah, and I think you need to have the ability to do that, to do well in Survivor. Because it's kind of tough, you know, to get close to people and then cut them loose.
What'd you think about what Robert said? Obviously, he had Cassidy to go, so he thinks they made a mistake. There might be some bias at work there in not getting her out, but who do you think offers more going forward, Cassidy or Gio?
You made a mistake because you had Gio safe.
Well, I absolutely made a mistake there, yeah. After having him go in three times. Yes,
safe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, now what were you saying about what Robert said? I got distracted.
Yeah, you had a point that you needed to make, didn't you? I said, who's going to be better for James and Carla for that alliance going forward, Cassidy or Gio? Who do you think offered more?
I don't think either one of them are terribly stable. Gio's ego was just tremendous, and I think that would have gotten him in trouble. And I think he'd have been off making deals on his own and counting on them to do whatever he wanted. And but Cassidy I don't know that she's 100% stable either, because she was getting a little bit paranoid already. But I think
there was cause.
I think she will stay
Unlike
closer
Lindsay,
to them.
Unlike Lindsay, there was clearly cause for Cassidy.
Yeah, I know.
In that she knew she was getting 2 votes.
I'm most anxious to see how Ryan reacts coming back from.
Yeah, that's going to be a doozy, isn't it? That's a real test for him, because even that picture that's in the roster there, it's like he's thinking, I'm the smartest guy I know. And you got to believe he was thinking that while he was out there making his moves.
Manipulating and telling James, forget the niceness, and we're going to do this.
Yeah, and all the BS to Cassidy that she saw right through immediately.
Yeah.
How will he manage?
Well, he seemed to, even at tribal council, think she was still buying it.
How will he manage himself? Will he be able to recover? Because we're about to shift We're about to shift into a different portion of the game, and this is. I mentioned it in the recap. I think there was a missed opportunity with Geo. If you were able to keep and help him maximize that knowledge is power when you're coming in with just the 4 and you're not clear on what your new connections may be, how you might get into that majority, being able to take, like, it's going to come out about the beads, right? It's going to come out about the bracelets. Sure. You got to figure even Carla's going to get busted for that, so that her tribe mates, her alliance, will know going forward. And Ryan may even tell
Cassidy might give the earring back.
Yeah. From that perspective, so they're going to be targeting people, and for them to potentially learn who else has a bracelet, well, that would be a great target for the knowledge is power.
Here's what I think
had you been
will
able
happen.
to take advantage of it.
Once they join together, all the tribes, people are going to cling on to their alliances unless they know for certain that they were on the bottom. And I don't know how outgoing Ryan will be to. I think James and Carla can manage him.
You're going to need 7 unless it splits into tiny factions somehow. You certainly don't want to give Baca the advantage, so you need 7 for that majority, and the 12 that are going to be. Well, is it going to go that way though? I'm going to think about that. Let's check in with Sandi, and we'll come back to that, because maybe you need a lot less.
We've been talking a long time.
Yeah. All right. Here's a call from Sandi.
Hey guys, it's Sandi. Ryan, you never throw a challenge. Never. Ever, ever, ever. You have not seen enough of Survivor, obviously. But Carla is playing an excellent game. You know good and well that she told Cassidy, you keep that up, honey, you're going to be gone like Lindsay. I'm still enjoying the Vesey tribe with Jesse. I just love how they are united. Hopefully they will stay together after whatever's coming this week. Now, Gabler, don't you know that he is going to tell everyone on the other tribe about the whole getting an immunity idol by taking your beads? So that's not going to be a secret anymore. It's going to be out that Cody and Carla and Jasmine have a idol. Now, why did Jasmine get to go? I don't know. That's just silly. I was tickled to get Geo out. Man, there was something about him that just rubbed me the wrong way. Maybe it's the bad guy vibe, or just too confident. I don't think anyone should be too confident, but I think Carla's playing a great game. Jesse's playing a great game. Cody, my USB, is now playing a great game. How'd that happen? But anyway, I think it's only a matter of time for some of these hanger-oners. Owen, he just gets lucky. Is that it? I don't know that he's doing very much. Also, they did not perform very well at the first part of the challenge. What was they going too slow, or what was going on? I'm really excited to see what's going to happen next week, and hopefully the creepy crud that's going around Georgia will go away, because we have all been sick for about 2 weeks, and I'm tired of it. Okay, have a great week, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks, Sandy. Hope you get better soon. Yeah, Gabler will be the one. She's right. He'll be the one, or Goobler, as she said. He'll be the one that blows the lid off the bead bracelet.
And for
Immunity idol.
Jasmine, she meant Janine.
Yeah. And that was Vesey making those calls, right? They picked her, and they picked Geo in terms of, since they won. So that's how that went. Thanks, Sandy. Next up, we got an email from Yazz in Northern California.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy. It's been a couple of seasons since I sent in feedback, but I still listen to every podcast and love your show, the Superfans, and playing JSFL.
Woohoo! Yay.
You all make it so much more enjoyable. As an aside, we went to Boston a couple of years ago, and my young son, who watches and listens with me, asked if we might meet Pete when we were visiting. He loves his woohoos.
That's awesome.
I'm really liking this season. I like the smaller tribes and feel like we are getting significantly more camp time than in past seasons, which is great. Ryan had me really scratching my head in this episode. First with the throwing of the challenge, although my son believes that he just said that to cover up for blowing the challenge as you two do. I don't see the point of lying to the audience about intentionally throwing a challenge, not sure what the benefit would be. Given Ryan's actions this episode, I think it's highly likely he did in fact intentionally throw it, thinking he can outsmart his team. The numerous comments to Cassidy telling her it's okay to vote him out were just unbelievable. Who in their right mind would buy that from a fellow contestant on a reality show to win $1 million? No, Ryan, you are not smarter than the average bear, and you do not lie well. I liked him early on, but wow, did he look foolish in this episode. On to Geo. Happy to see him go. He too was sure that he was safe and that he was in charge, and like so many before him, he did the unbelievably stupid move of showing off the knowledge is power advantage. So ironic that he actually discusses how this advantage has not worked well in the past because the person didn't use it right and told others. And then he goes and tells Carla. Two stupid moves in this episode. Throwing a challenge and telling someone about the knowledge of power. I knew that it had to be Geo or Ryan because the survivor gods always punish those moves. I have no clue about what is going to happen next week, and I'm not going to venture a guess. I suppose for JSFL, I might just close my eyes and point my finger at the screen for a vote out. That has just as good a chance as me picking someone. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy. All right, and thank you, Yazz.
Yeah, Geo said that Ryan, in his interviews, he said that Ryan had been talking about potentially throwing it prior to that. So it seems like we were wrong.
So he probably did. We were wrong.
Right, he did intentionally throw it.
Boo. But it makes me dislike him more that he did that.
I will say that I have, over the years, changed my opinion about whether or not it's okay to throw a challenge. That used to be an absolute, but I no longer think that. I'll explain more later.
Oh,
Another fun fact. Gio was an alternate. That was the thing that Lindsay, I guess, chose not to share in her interviews. But Gio mentioned it, that he was an alternate. And she did highlight it, though. And she used that and his poor performance. Gio said that in that first challenge, James said, "Hey, my knee's hurting." And that's why Gio did it. That's why he ended up going out and trying to carry the box. Even though Ryan told him it is very heavy. And Gio looked really bad, and that was kind of a stigma that was on him from that very first challenge when he ran slowly. And he couldn't manage to get the box back.
You think James just didn't want to do it?
Maybe.
Because he'd said before he didn't want to overexert himself anymore.
Wasn't
than he
super
had to.
keen on going way out of his way for something like that. And so the fact that Gio performed extremely poorly in the first challenge and was actually an alternate, she put that on him, and so it's stuck. And that was one of the reasons he was basically saying he knew that he and Ryan needed more numbers. And that's why he went ahead, even though he knew that Carla had lied to him or withheld information in the past. That's why he shared the knowledge is power, because he was trying to win her back, basically, to get an alliance going so that they could have the majority.
Well, I think James might have just been putting a target on Gio because he figured he wouldn't do as well.
I hadn't thought about that, being an alternate getting used against you like that. She said something to the effect of, well, he wasn't even supposed to be out here, so we should just vote him out. He was an alternate. She put a spin on it. It had a stink. The alternate had a stink. And so,
I think that was just part of her revenge.
but this was from the go. This was from the very beginning. He got that label, and that he was marked because of it. Essentially, at least that was his version of history and what he was sharing. So,
Okay.
Thanks, Yazz. Next up, we got a call from Chris.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Hey, Survivor fans. This is Chris of Alabama. I really like the nature scenes. It showed a cloud cover up the stars and cross the screen. That was great. And like the octopi, the nature scenes are always really well done. Way to go. And Jeff says that later. Yay. As far as finding an ant colony on top of a beware advantage, I'm just going to leave it. And that's why I'm in the comfort of my home right now and not on Survivor. And I totally respect everybody that has ever auditioned for that show. Those are a lot of hoops they put you through. Yes, I love Jeff's shout out to the art department. That was great. And it was followed by the teeter-totter water walk and the baka bucket. And I think her name is Noelle. She really dug in the challenge and did a great job. That was very impressive. I loved the ball roll challenge, the tactile thing, the sound of the wood ball knocking against the wood side. And I've got a provisional patent I'm preparing. That was great. When they said Ryan about the right side or whatnot, and he messed that up, that was wonderful, the way that they had that footage, and it kind of made for like a little mini story. Kind of like on the Love Boat. Remember that? They were always just a bunch of little stories together. Speaking of television, my USB is Michael Schofield from An All New Prison Break. And Jesse reminds me of that character, anybody that has ever seen that show. Oh, everybody that went on the little thing had a soft J, like Jeff. Everybody on the boat challenge, and that was great because they came rolling in on the high seas, and I think we've got like 13 seconds of opening footage material at this point. So, yes, great job, art department. At the Risk Summit, it would have been quicker and would have been a nice touch to have a little animation pop up with Jeff saying, the audience was all briefed on this procedure beforehand, so let's get started. Those money bags looked like something from a Scrooge McDuck cartoon or comic strip or comic book. And the Beagle Boys, I never once thought that they looked like dogs. Sorry, Disney. So everything worked out great. And okay, that's about all I have. Joanne and Stacy, you guys are amazing. I liked Jeff's shirt. I want one, but I'll never look as good as he does in one. Let's face it. Y'all have a great week. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. It was all over the place. You know what I was thinking when he said that? Chris is probably used to those fire ants that they have back south.
Yep.
So he probably looked at those ants with a completely different perspective.
Well, don't you remember me saying at least they weren't fire ants?
Yeah.
If you ever been stung by a fire ant, you'll know what I mean.
Yeah, make the mistake of pitching a picnic too close to one of those nests. Good deal. Thanks, Chris. Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. First of all, I just finished listening to your recap show. And, Joanne, I think it's time for you to fix dinner and feed me because it is dinner time. I'm really hungry. And when you said that, I was like, dang, I need to get some food. So that's where I'm headed right now. But I did want to send in some feedback because I know if I wait till tomorrow, I'm going to forget again, and I not let another week go by. But I will say full points for me this week, and I think that's my second time this season. So I'm just saying I didn't have Gio every week, only the last two. So, yeah, I just didn't think that his story was telling like a full season story. He had his moments, and then I think it's time for him to go. I will say I think some of the cast is growing on me. Some of them are still like annoying. Every time Cody opens his mouth, I'm like, stop. He just seems really affected. Kind of, I don't know, grow up a little bit. But I like Jesse a lot. I like Carla. I like Sammy. I don't like the people who I'm supposed to not really like Gabler. He's like, what? The blanket, like, what in the world? Palm front blanket, that's a market that hasn't been tapped for some reason. So, yeah, the episode was okay. I mean, it was flowing along, and I think the risk thing, I don't know, I get kind of bored with that, so I don't know. Maybe I just don't put enough thought in it to think about it strategically as far as what the risks mean and what it means, depending on who chooses what and whatever. But I was kind of annoyed because first I thought, oh, dang it, I forgot what the parameters were, and so I thought Gio was getting an immunity idol, and I was like, there goes my pick. But it worked out for me. So as far as the JSFL side challenge, just for your information, I am tied for second, so I'll take that. I think I'm at 21 points, so it's pretty exciting. I'm just going to hold on to these 5-point weeks while I can, because who knows, historically those don't go along very often for me, so I'm going to ride that wave. But thanks for your recap. Thank you to everyone for the feedback. As ever, it's helpful. It helps me to get prepared, because I feel like there's a few of these players I still don't really know that well. Cassidy got some screen time this week, so that was good to get to know her. Every time you talk about James, I swear I can't picture him. So I know when I see him, I'll be like, oh, that's right. But it's been a fine season so far. Let's keep it up, and looking forward to what happens with this upcoming merge, and I guess whatever surprises we have. But hope everyone has a good weekend. Have a good one. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Drew. There's a roast in the crock pot.
That's true, with veggies, and we're going to have nice mushroom gravy on it.
And I cooked a whole tray full of bacon in the oven. None of that wimpy gray turkey bacon that Jody does in the microwave. This is crispy, good bacon right out of the oven. So swing on by and grab a bite.
This boy does love his bacon.
Thanks, Drew. Next up, we got a call from David.
Okay, Joanne and Stacy, this is David in Pittsburgh, and I'm coming in hot. Full Lindsay revenge mode. I told you before, I play the gay card strategy. Has it worked for me?
Nope.
Well, Ricard, busted. Hi, busted. Gio, Bustamante. So once again, I'm left with my USB gone, and I am so mad at so many people on these teams for that happening. First takedown, Ryan. Ryan, if it's true that you threw the challenge, what were you thinking? Do you think nobody else is playing this game? And you and Gio just seem so confident in what's happening. I realize you've only gone to one tribal council up to then, and the person that you picked went, but don't you see other people are not just sitting back watching you play everything? And Carla, talk about throwing away an advantage. Gio's coming up to you, telling you all the information, sharing it with you first, and you see now that he has an advantage that you can also use. He doesn't know that you've got a hidden immunity idol, so why throw away someone that's loyal to you, who has power that you can use? As for the rest of the tribe, I kept wondering when Cassidy would speak, and now that she's doing it, I wish she would shut up. And James, the only thing I can remember about James is him losing his pants. I can't remember any other move that he's made. So who will I pick for my next USB? Well, unfortunately, I'm also playing this game with 3 friends at home, and Cody's already been picked as one USB. Jesse's been picked as the other. So I can't pick them because they'll get the 24 points if he wins, and I'll get 10 or whatever it is. So I'm going with Carla. I know. What can I say? Actually, I'll be satisfied either way. If she crashes and burns, I'll be cheering. If she wins, I'll take those points. Now, shifting gears to a more serious note. Last week, when I heard Cameron talk about the mass shooting in Raleigh, I just wanted to reach out to him and say, I, too, have a personal connection to a shooting, and that was the Tree of Life shooting at the congregation only less than 2 miles from my house. So I just want to say it'll take a while before you feel safe again. Listen to what Joanne had to say. I do think she's right. Talking it out, a counselor helps, or just sharing how you feel with your friends. But anyway, yes, we are a family here with our survivor group, and we do support each other. And I do know that it helped me in the past, and I hope it helps you in the future. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Thanks, David. Sorry for your turmoil as Geo went down in flames. If you had consulted me prior, I would have let you know.
Who lost a point?
Well, I lost Safe Point. He lost to USB.
Yeah, well.
Of course, I chose Justine, so what do I know?
You've already lost yours.
I bet people remember her less than they remember James, because at least he's memorable for losing his drawers and trying to get Lindsay, trying to corral her back in. So he's...
I had forgotten that he lost his drawers, as you said. Actually, they were his pants.
In the challenge, yes.
Still had his drawers on.
Yeah.
But okay. Thanks for bringing that visual back.
That's on David. That's not me.
I see. Mm-hmm.
All right.
I know how you feel, David.
Thanks again, David. Next up, we got a call from Cameron.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. This is Cameron from North Carolina. First off, I just wanted to say, Joanne and Stacy, I'm very grateful for the response you gave to me last week after what I shared. It was very refreshing to hear that. All right, to this week's episode. So I see why Owen had to be made aware of the bead idol, because he kind of caught him red-handed in the moment, being like, what's going on in your pocket there? So that makes sense. But I do not get, why did Janine have to blab to Sammy? Sorry, I think it was Ellie who said that. Mm-hmm. Why did they do that? I just don't get it. If Owen was questionable whether they wanted to confide in him or not, I don't see why Sammy was so trustworthy on that front anyway. It seemed like the dynamic was they wanted to be with Owen anyway, not include Sammy. So I really would have loved to see Sammy blow it up when she was begging Gabler for the right bead. Anyway, I think I do like this social skills beware advantage better than the passwords at Tribal from the last 2 seasons. Carla definitely did the best at it. And you know what? I don't think that Janine and Ellie did well at all. I don't think they proved that they had good social skills on that front, seeing as everyone knew but Gabler at the time. Ryan was so crazy to throw that challenge. In Survivor, there's just never a reason to throw a challenge when you're in the tribal phase, especially. Perhaps in jury to prove your loyalty to someone else, but I don't know. It's the game of Survivor. Throwing stuff is just so not worth it. So I think that Carla was very smart when Gio came and confided to her. It was kind of a letdown for people who wanted to see a pair like Gio and Carla go far. But for the sake of Survivor, I think Carla was very smart going to James Cassidy and Ryan and spilling the beans on what he had received. Because actually, no one else there has anything. So really all he could do would be steal Carla's idol for the time being. So I congratulate her. It was a bummer emotionally, but I respect it. So I lost a safe point last week. I lost a safe point the week before. And I had Ryan as safe this week. So when I tell you I was just like panicking again, like, oh man, am I going to get the 3 in a row on losing safe points? So I'm very glad that Gio decided to kind of hurt his own game by spilling to Carla. I really do like the editing this season. We see some Baca every week. And 5 weeks deep, we saw a lot of Vessi at first and not much Coco. But in the last 2 weeks, you've seen a lot of Coco and not much Vessi at all, which of course correlates to, who's going to ultimately go to Tribal. We want to focus more time on their tribe life and their conversations of what's going to happen before Tribal Council. But I don't know. I kind of miss the shenanigans of Vessi. Hope we get some more of them next week. If there is really a merge, ? I'm not quite convinced. Seeing as what's happened the last 2 seasons, there's always something funky going on there. I think I would be surprised if there's an actual merge and everyone goes back to camp with a new buff. Anyway, Joanna, Stacy, Survivor fans, take care, all of you, and I will see you all next week.
Thanks, Cameron. The commercial appears to be reinforcing a merge, because you do hear Jeff say we are merged. Now, this could happen.
I don't know that was Jeff.
I'm pretty sure that's Jeff.
Somebody said, it didn't show Jeff saying it, but somebody said, that it was a merge, but...
It sounded like Jeff.
Well, we'll see.
Yes. But my thought was, oh, you know what? That could be like the last thing he says at the end of the episode, too.
Yep.
So, because that's essentially how it's played out in the past. They're going to divide up into two teams. They're going to reach in and they're going to pull out a rock, and then they're going to reveal, and it's either going to be blue or red.
That's definite.
And most likely, someone is going to have the white rock
And
or
have to sit
gray.
out.
Yeah, because you can see there's a sit-out bench there in the clip. So it seems like someone's going to sit out. And my thought is that it's going to be the tribe that wins is they're going to get their buffs, and the tribe that loses is going to have to go to tribal council, and that one person that sits out instead of two, like in 41 and 42, that person's going to get sent off to the island. But there is no hourglass. There is no turn back time thing, we've been told. So, and so far, those things that he said at the beginning of the season.
What else are they going to do?
Well, I think in the case where it's like that, where it's an odd number of people, is that person is going to be out of the game essentially until
somebody goes home and they replace them on whichever team loses a person.
Yes. So at the end of the episode, there's going to be 12. Someone's going to get voted out. Is it going to be voted out of a group of 12? Or is it going to be voted out of a group of 6? That's the interesting part. Yeah, it could be that group of 6 like they did in 41 and 42.
Well, and the worst part of that is just being isolated while everyone else is together on an island, even though they some may be safe and some not. That's what we're thinking.
Yeah.
But still, this person is isolated and not being able to get in there and make alliances and get to know people.
Right. That's why they keep them out through tribal. That's why I think they keep them out through tribal council. That way, they're essentially immune to this.
It does save them from being sent home, but it can hurt them by isolating them.
Certainly,
from the tribe.
It can have an impact on the social game. So you almost need them to have when they do come back, if it plays out the way I'm thinking, you need a 3-day cycle for them after that. Ideally, you want to give them a little boost, but most of these are 2-day cycles that we've been seeing. So yeah, it's going to be hard. If you draw that rock, you're going to be behind. You might be safe for this tribal, but it's going to be rough.
They better hope they have a pretty solid alliance if they're the one that goes out there.
Certainly, you need a good social game.
However, each tribe can go so many different ways. It doesn't seem to. The only people I would say have a fairly tight alliance were Carl and James.
Yeah, don't you think Jesse and Cody were working pretty tight together, and Ellie and Janine?
They were, Ellie and Janine. But that's just 2.
Yeah, that's duos for sure.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't know how long Owen and Sammy can put up with Gabler, but they did have an alliance of 3 working for a while. It's hard to say.
Yeah, but you heard Owen say he was thinking about working with the 2 girls.
Mm-hmm. That he needed other options.
And that Sammy seems to be just about at the end of his rope with Gabler.
Yeah.
The way
he's certainly
the extra clip
certainly
showed.
ready for a break, but he's gonna get to have his bruh moment there with Cody, and things will reset, and he'll feel better, and he'll be making new friends here in no time.
Oh yeah, I remember the video clip. They're trying to make lures to go fishing.
Right.
And Gabler, of course, is just trying to teach Sammy, and on some of it, and the others he just, do it, and I'm going to take a nap.
Yeah, I think that's the part
You
that
do it, I'm and he doesn't know what he's doing.
Annoyed Sammy more than anything was that he has to wait for Gabler to gather his strength over the course of 2 to 3 hours, he says, before they can go out and fish for 20 minutes.
Before they do anything, that he does that no matter what they're doing.
Yep.
So, yeah, that alone would make me want to send him home for sure. But he does still have an idol.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks, Cameron. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, a lot happened this week, but it left me feeling a little bit flat. Hopefully the merge-ish episode will be better. My other observations, Janine was quick to open the idol package. Maybe she thought beware meant ants. Carla proved that knowledge is power, just not in the way the producers intended. Ellie and Janine saying, "Don't tell Owen," just before he appeared, seemed a bit scripted. Yeah, that did. That did come off as contrived the way it happened. I think the producers went with the
bead
bewares to hone everyone's arts and crafts skills for the merge flag. Okay. Cocoa Paranoia reminds me of the old cereal commercial. They're cuckoo on Cocoa Tribe. Ellie telling Sammy Janine's news was her audition for gossipy neighbor roles on TV shows. Indeed. Who knew that collecting beads would be faster than a bunny eating dinner in a mailbox? Yeah. Jeff's probably kicking himself that nobody really lost their vote. The look on Gabler's face when he realized he had literally handed his target immunity was priceless. That was awesome. That's one of the best moments of the whole episode.
He's like, what?
Yeah. It's like
Are you kidding?
His brain locked for a minute, and then it came loose, and he fully understood what had just happened thanks to Sammy. Did anyone notice that the clip of the Dream Team landing 3 balls was filmed in reverse? I did not.
No.
I did not. Noelle is so agile in the challenges that I'd hate to get into a butt-kicking contest with her. Nice reference. It was amazing how little water spillage there was on any of the teeter-totters. Yeah, they managed that well. Yeah, and it only took a couple trips the way they made it look in the edit. That probably wasn't real, though. The tribes played a version of skee-ball for immunity. Can cornholes be far behind? Ryan's loss may have been intentional. The right side was open, but he went left hard. Is Janine allowed to use her bracelet while she doesn't have a vote? Yeah, that's the question. That's the question. Yeah. All right, I covered that already. I won't do it again. Ryan's master plan shows that he's playing tiddlywinks while the others play checkers. Yes. When Janine opened her shell second, I knew it meant that Gio had won the advantage. Yeah. Besides packing on weight and learning to make fire ahead of their season, future cast members should take acting lessons. I'm surprised. I don't know that anything would have helped Ryan, though. I'm surprised that Jeff let Ryan off so lightly on his apparent intentional quit talk. Yeah, Jeff was soft playing that all. He should have totally busted Cassidy for the eye rolls and the faces she was making. That he's lost his edge. He's not engaged. I don't know what's going on there.
Maybe because he got criticized for engaging too much.
Yeah, there's probably a no-win kind of feeling for him in a lot of cases. We're pretty rough on him. Gio, if you're catching up at Tribal, the next catching up you do will be at Ponderosa. Ryan went full schmoo at Tribal. The only thing he didn't do was coat himself in butter. I'm surprised Carla's pregnant pause didn't gestate shot-in-the-dark thoughts in Gio.
I really am anxious to hear her explanation of what she was really thinking.
Yeah, that isn't.
Why she paused like that.
It wasn't editing either, given what she said afterwards. I have an evil idea. The Kumbaya idol. The tribe must vote unanimously as a group to activate it. This might expose cracks or placements in tribes that haven't lost any challenges. Ooh, yeah, that is interesting. Sammy is 19, says he's 22, but his earnest, breathless speaking style makes him sound 14. Yeah, he does sound really young at times. Next time it's D-Day on Baca and everyone shares a mat. What's Jeff's final twist? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Thank you, Josh. Good job, buddy. Next up, we got a call from Shahin.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hope you and all the Survivor fans are good and well. Glad to finally get on the action for this season's fan feedback. It's been a tough few weeks with the move to Brisbane after only moving to Melbourne for about half a year. So it's been a lot of work and a lot of relocation preparation from our perspective. However, both the fiancé and I have managed to watch the entirety of this season. It was an okay episode, I'm not going to lie, but I'm not feeling the same vibes from the cast that I was from the previous season. And I don't know if it's me or that the cast is poorer or that it has less entertaining or polarizing characters as fans are attached to. I think what makes it more difficult for me is that the cast is playing a much better version of Survivor in comparison to 41, 42. I felt like we saw some things that we just did not like in previous seasons. I think I can go back and say only a handful of seasons among the last 6 to 8 have been good. Less than a handful. Let's just say 2 or 3 have been good out of the last 8. I think the game and production has significantly improved though in this season. The storytelling has rebounded and the long challenges are refreshing. However, they are cookie cuttering segments by attaching certain things to make those big challenges. But I do like that. I think the game is suffering from a severe lack of resources. I think the both of you have highlighted that and we've seen that in 41 and 42. But I think it's just really hitting us home now that this game really does need the resources. I'm just really surprised that CBS is not funneling that large pool. I know they say they had to make cutbacks due to COVID, but I don't buy into that. Surely they have enough there to improve the game. I'm starting to miss the 39 days. I'm starting to now miss the production shown from previous seasons. Albeit, again, as I mentioned, it's rebounded somewhat. I'm missing the savvy gameplay that's not gamed by the game. I feel like the last few seasons we've just seen so much involvement and intrusion from the game itself where it's gaming it, if you know what I mean. It's not... I just feel like we saw 41, 42 and we just saw how call whatever purple edit you want. There were purple edits, but I think they were also gamed to an extent too. I don't want to say it was fixed, but there's a part of me wanting them to turn back time and this is not, I swear to God, this is not a sure flashback season 41, 42 gaff. Yeah, and I'm just really happy that there's less of Jeff, the monster. Yes, I'm very convinced Jeff was a monster in the end. Episode-wise, I wish production could have done more to highlight that relationship between Ryan and the Blocker 3. I don't think as an audience we got to see that because I don't know if as audience were we meant to see a blind side? Was Ryan blindsided? I'm not sure. Did he actually ever have a proper relationship to begin with? It just didn't feel like it. It just felt like it was a Blocker 3 and a Blocker 2 and then they made a decision, Anyway, less moaning from me, more hoping that we see better gameplay, post-merge, and JSL Fires. I'm at the bottom where I continue to be. So there we go. All right, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Shahin. Great to have you back. Yeah, there was a block of 3, but it almost wasn't a block of 3, that being Cassidy, James, and Carla. Cassidy was certainly on the verge of messing that up, and Gio was trying to make sure that he had more than just the 2. But Gio said that he was blindsided, and you could tell from Ryan's face, I'm pretty sure that he was extremely blindsided too. And Carla, it's funny, you thought Carla apologized to Gio, and I said, oh no, it was to Ryan, and we rewatched it, and she apologized to both of them.
Yeah,
we're both right.
She apologized to Gio first, and then she turned to Ryan and said she was sorry.
Because he was still looking shocked.
Like, oh, okay. Well, I guess we probably looked up at different
times when we were taking notes. Yeah. Yep, didn't catch that she had done that twice. So yeah, Ryan was blindsided. I think part of what you're struggling with, and you're not alone. We've heard from other folks about this too, and I've seen it on like the subreddit for Survivor. People sharing their response. I think it's a big byproduct of these 3 small tribes, and there's not a lot. It's hard. What we got this season with the 2-hour intro and then followed by a 90-minute and the tribe time, the focus that we've gotten is an improvement. It's a clear improvement in my mind. But with the game being so small and it gets concentrated in the second half of the episode, which is what you're left with, that's what you're left thinking about the most, what happened, not some of the other stuff they shared where you got tribe time and the other tribes that aren't going to tribal. So you're left with this impression of this small game played over and over. So this fixation on the 3 tribes, I'm not as keen on. It's not paying off. We're 3 seasons into this, and without shuffles, without reconsolidating down to 2 and forcing new dynamics like that, I totally get why people feel like there's just not enough happening. They're not engaged, and yeah, if you're not looking at the roster all the time like we are, because we're trying to remember who's who like that, people get lost in the shuffle for sure. Cassidy and James both had very purple edits. They didn't, there wasn't a lot of mention for them. James got that one bit in the very beginning about being the pawn in the alliance of the women there, and he was okay with that. So they had 4 to begin with. But Cassidy got like
And
one
now there's
confessional in the
only
beginning. Yeah.
2 women left.
It's going to change. So this is a big pivot point coming up in week 6.
Well, you think about if they had started with 2 tribes of 9.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot easier to have an alliance of 6 people and just pick off 3 people. Just, okay, we don't like these people. But when you only got 6 people, it's a lot harder.
Yeah,
I think.
It's like watching an end game. They're forcing I think their hope was, wow, all the excitement comes at the end of Survivor, so that we'll get that kind of excitement in the beginning too if we start them off in these 3 small tribes. But it just doesn't really work out that way. There's a lot of limits on what can happen there, even when you do have good casting. And I think we've got a good cast here. I've enjoyed the cast, and certainly I think it's about to change, though. When you got this big group of 12 coming out of this next episode and all the different possibilities and the paths, I think it'll really jump up. And we got, like you said, like Shahin said, we've got players. We got people who can play at a high level. It's going to be interesting to see Carla and Jesse and, hey, surprise, Cody and Ellie and Sammy
James.
And Owen, James. Yeah, and Cassidy to square off. Well, he'll be a factor, though. He might be the guy he might be like the stick in the spokes that knocks things over. I'm not sure he's going to be a super strategic player calling shots and stuff like that. But it's going to be interesting to watch all of them try to maneuver and gain the upper hand, and watch how the balance of power shifts as we head towards the end game once the merge is done. That's why I think. So hang in there, Shahin. I think it's going to get it even better, and we got a good cast that's really going to rock it from here. Next up, we got a call from Noelle.
Hi, everyone. It's Noelle calling from Albuquerque. That's so funny that I got my feedback all wrong last week. I didn't even realize it until later in the weekend. I was listening to Tyson's podcast, and Tyson kept saying, Vessi was helping Baca. Vessi was helping Baca. And I was like, wait, what? I just can't keep up with this season. There's just way too much going on in every episode. It's so hard to keep track of it all. Let's get into it. Did you guys see Lindsay at the very beginning of this past episode? They flashed back to her, and they put on screen a picture of her looking grumpy, and then in the background they're playing her voice saying, if you guys are lying to me, I'm coming after you, I mean it, I'm gonna hunt you down. Just not a good look for Lindsay. That was funny. Okay, I'm sad Gio left, because in his exit interviews he came off as so nice and sweet, and I don't know, it was just made me like him a lot better. And not that I didn't like him before, but it made me like him, and sad that he was gone. But it's really hard not to like everybody in the game and feel sad when they leave. They are doing such a great job of casting lately that it's hard to see anyone go and know that we're not going to get to see more from them throughout the season. That's the hardest part about the new version, I would say. I really liked that challenge. I felt like there wasn't so much of a heavy lifting component as there was a teamwork component. And I would really like to see the pre-merge challenges go through a massive overhaul where they take out all of the heavy lifting and make it a lot more teamwork oriented, because I think that then we would see people get voted out who actually should get voted out because they're not vibing with the team, instead of getting voted out because they are physically unable to lift a 400-pound snake. I do believe that Ryan threw the challenge. I watched it again and saw that they approached the station with the ball rolling before the other 2 tribes, so he even had extra time, and he was throwing them pretty hard. I wonder if there was an opportunity to swap out, and because we didn't see his tribe yelling at him, let's swap. Gio in his exit interview talked about how Ryan had approached him about throwing a challenge, and Gio had asked him not to, but it was really interesting. And then it almost backfired. He almost got himself voted out doing that. So I think I'm going to mark him as my vote out for next week. But it's such a crapshoot with these merge episodes. That's what it looks like we're getting next time, right? I wonder if the format will be very different than the last 2 seasons. It kind of, from the preview, is looking like it will be. But of course, it's anyone's guess at this point. And the last thing I want to say is that I think I'm going to rule out Carla as my replacement USV, only because everybody in her alliance seems to have trouble trusting her. So that, to me, is a big red flag. Everyone have a great weekend. Bye! Oh, I also wanted to acknowledge Cameron's comments from last week. Cameron, I'm so sorry your community is going through that. It's hard not to feel hopeless when it comes to gun violence in this country, and it is really comforting hearing from the same people on this podcast week after week, and I hope that your community is finding some comfort and recovering. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Noelle. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. I have so much to say about this episode, so I'm going to get to it. I liked Cassidy's restraint in the beginning of the episode. I would not be able to talk to the person who voted for me immediately like that. I don't think so anyway. So I liked that about her. I don't understand how Ryan and Gio could have things so wrong. They just came back from a tribal council where neither of them were voted out, but they were on the wrong side of the numbers. Did they take time to sit and think about how and why that happened? It would seem to me that they would know that they weren't in the majority, but I don't feel like we saw everything there. The girls' game on Baca is imploding. The guys, knowing that Janine was trying to make an immunity idol, gave them the opportunity to see firsthand how good she is at lying. And I cringed when Gabler gave up his bead, and then when Sammy went and told him what actually had happened. Everyone in the Baca tribe is in such an awkward position right now, trying to keep up appearances. It was so cringy, and I loved watching that tribe interact this episode. I loved watching the Vesey tribe during the challenge. They worked together as a team so well, and Noelle was a beast hopping over the gate the way she did. Now, I know you guys were saying during your recap that you don't think Ryan actually threw the challenge, you think he screwed up, but I kind of feel like he threw the challenge. He was being very skillful with rolling the ball up to the point where he wasn't. And that's a no-no in my book. No good ever comes from throwing a challenge. Ryan is a huge competitor, and he just committed the cardinal sin. And he committed another cardinal sin by offering himself up as a decoy vote. The Risk Your Vote Island sequence was interesting to watch. Dropping me off on that sandbar in the middle of the ocean when high tide could come up at any moment would not be cool in my book. I would not be fine with that. And I just want to say this episode was so funny, listening to so many people who were so off in their perception of what was going on in their tribe. I just got such a kick out of it. Gio on the Risk Your Vote Island was so funny listening to him. He's not a very good liar, first of all. And him talking about how safe he is just unbelievable. Now, we've seen this Risk Your Vote Island for 3 seasons now, and I'm just wondering at what point people are going to wise up and just stop risking their vote. I think it's a better strategy to not risk your vote and then observe the behavior patterns of those who do risk their vote. You would have a lot of information if you just did that. Come the merge, if they hadn't gone to tribal council, you would know that, okay, one person may have an advantage and the other person may likely have no vote. Knowledge is power, and you don't need a stupid little gimmicky paper like Gio had. You can just use your own wits and logic and have those inform your decisions. So I think the Risk Your Vote gimmick is something that no one should take part in if they're wise. I feel like there are a lot of lone wolves in this game right now. Cassidy, Ryan, Janine, Jesse, they've all kind of taken actions that are in their own self-interests, as all the players should, but in their cases, these self-serving actions are right out there in the open for all to see, and I'm interested to see how that affects their games moving forward. Anyway, that's it for me. I can't wait to hear everybody else's feedback. Till next week. Bye.
Excellent. Thanks, Jen. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul, Louisiana here. So first off, did I buy Ryan throwing that challenge? Actually, yes. I never even considered otherwise until you mentioned it, but he was just so gung-ho about losing, and myself, yeah, I think he really did do it on purpose. I think it might have been a last-minute decision, but in the end, after rewatching his performance, he looked to be major league pitching that last ball directly at the 2 he already had on the platform. Of course, we all feel the same way about this kind of strategy, and I hate to call it a strategy, because it's a no-win situation. Casual viewers probably missed all the little editing hints that could have been foreshadowing Ryan's leaving, but we all saw it. But even though it didn't end the way I was hoping, and yeah, I had Ryan as safe, but was more than willing to give up a save point for his actions, well, seeing Gio, his closest ally, leave the game was satisfying enough for me. On second thought, scratch that. Seeing the look on Ryan's face when Gio left was the satisfying part. that was real reaction and not Ryan acting. His entire "I'm a nice guy and I don't blame you for voting me off" routine was just so overdone. It was nice to hear Cassidy talk, and I think I like her since she was far more believable than Ryan was when they were both trying to pull the wool over each other's eyes. Now, Janine and Ellie finding the Beware advantage was like a train going off the rails. First, Owen shows up and catches them red-handed. Did they say his name 3 times in a row or something? Because, poof, there he was. And then, after bringing him into the fold, he, of course, had to tell Sammy about it. Then Janine gets Gabler to give her the final needed bead, and Sammy tells Gabler about Janine's new power. Let's not leave anyone out of the loop, right? You know what I think? I'm going to tell you what I think. I think they should have an idol that nullifies itself the minute the owner tells anyone they have it. But I doubt it would hold its power very long because these players of late love to share what they found, especially when no one knows they've found it. Save for Carla, though. Good for her, but when the merge occurs, her idol could be uncovered just through word of mouth if beads come up. I know I'd try to figure out who on the other tribes was collecting beads. And speaking of merges, I'm confident that our next episode won't start with a legit merge. It'll just be a temporary gathering to test the waters, or I guess more accurately, to get people scheming and plotting quicker. And did anyone else see that extra fishing scene with Sammy and Gabler? Sammy is not exactly thrilled with Gabler, and it makes me think that Ellie could end up benefiting from this. If it weren't for this faux merge thing that's happening, I think I'd actually pick Gabler's next to go on Baca, immunity idol or not, because I think Sammy finds Ellie more tolerable than Gabler. But with new people in the next tribal, Gabler had better play his idol, or I will consider him to be a fool. I'm sort of on the fence right now. But this mix-up thing is a complete unknown, so who knows what to expect. I think I'm picking a male to go, so, well, Cody's safe. Sammy, he could go. Ryan, yeah, possibility, a good one in fact. Jesse, not so much. Actually, he's not the tough guy I thought he'd be at the start of the season. I can't even imagine him being in a gang. Maybe he was like the mascot or something? I don't know. Anyway, right now I guess I'm leaning towards Ryan, but with idols and powers and new twists, who knows? I am predicting that there will be a fast-forward advantage, although I can't figure out how it'll play. Anyway, with all these unknowns, it should make for a fun episode. Catch y'all later. Bye.
Thanks, Paul. In the brief glimpse you get of the challenge in the commercial that's there, it looks very physical. So whatever team Ryan's on, he might be able to lend an advantage there with his physicality. And if it does play out the way I'm thinking, similar to 41 and 42, that team of 6 will be immune. So they'll get their buffs, and then the second team of 6 will have to go to tribal council, and they'll get their buffs afterwards.
At least that's what we're guessing.
Yeah, that's our guess. There's nothing that says that.
Now, are you ready to tell us the rest of your story?
Which story?
The one about why you think you've changed your mind and you think there are exceptions to throwing a challenge.
There is an instance where you might choose to throw it. Yeah, and we've seen it in past seasons. Back in the times when tribes would shuffle. So you would see an initial alliance get formed, and then they would get shuffled. And in some of the worst case shuffles, only one member of your alliance would get sent over, and they would be outnumbered 8-1 or whatever it was at the time when they had done the tribe shuffling. And so when you have the majority alliance in the new shuffled tribe that you're in, you may choose to throw the challenge just to make sure that the other tribe that has one member of your alliance in it that you're counting on doesn't have to go to tribal council because they're the obvious vote out for that tribe.
Okay, I could buy that.
Yeah, that's why I had to change my absolutely never throw a challenge. Now, this one shouldn't have been done. Ryan goofed, and it just blew up in his face.
And it sounds like he made the decision all by himself.
He made it prior, yeah. So according to what Gia was saying in the interviews, he had been talking about it, and he made that decision right then. He just did not understand the dynamics of his tribe at all, and it could have very easily been him. It must have been a little shocking to be watching that.
I would hope so, because they were both so confident.
Yeah, and we had talked about that back in the beginning. It's like, okay, guys, you got an alliance of 2. You got a numbers problem here. Where's the rest of your alliance that's going to give you the confidence to move forward?
James and Carla are playing so well and taking such a back seat. Like Carla said, she wants them both to have huge egos.
I don't know.
It works for her.
I don't know that they were doing such a great job, but they did end up with the upper hand, because Gio in his exit interviews had said, he told her flat out, look, I know you've been working against me. I know you've lied to me. I know you've shared what I shared with you. Because in the cassava cutting incident, the thing where they only showed us where he was telling Cassidy how to cut up the cassava, and she was having a problem with that. And anyway, that whole thing, I guess, caused a stir in their tribe, the way it had played out, because he had been doing the chopping and the cooking and all that, and she was telling him, cut it a different way so it'll be like it's a different meal. And then he basically said, well, why don't you go ahead and chop it up then? Why don't you chop it the way you want it? And so anyway, it blew up. There's a little bit of stink, and Carla shared that Gio was unhappy with Cassidy, and then Cassidy came back to Gio and said, somebody told me. And he said, well, I know exactly who told me. And so he said there was some uneasiness at camp after they had that little row about that. So she wasn't necessarily super hiding it. They knew she was playing both sides. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I still think they were the leaders.
Oh, yeah. Clearly, Gio and Ryan
and the
thought
rest
that.
Were followers.
Yes, they were dictating the pace and
or
how
that
things were
James was totally with them.
Yeah.
I think James made them believe that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what's interesting is that there's only, how many women are left? 1, 2, 3?
5, I think.
4, 5, yeah. So 5 and then 8 men at this point. So the plus side is that historically, the 40s have been somewhat different, but historically, the merge is a great place for the smaller people that contribute less physically to hide. There's more opportunity when
there's only 8 men.
Yeah, I said 8.
Okay, I thought you said 9.
Nope, I don't believe so. Anyway, there's opportunity for Cassidy just to disappear into the background. Likewise, even with Carla. Noelle can't because of, her physicality in that regard. But
people aren't going to want to let her get to the end.
You wouldn't think so. And it's been such a big story. So
yeah, that's the way that usually works. Anybody who's got a
that's
story.
why she's talking so panicked in the next time on. I'm sure that all that's just ratcheting up. And stealing a vote which she's got the steal a vote advantage, that may not be enough to save her from that perspective. So, was it Paul said he thought the next one voted out would be a guy? That's a pretty good guess. There's a lot more guys to choose from. Whereas so far, it's until Gio went, it was primarily the women. So, yeah, I'm excited for the game to shift into this other gear and having them come together like that and seeing what alliances form. It's like hitting the reset button. So we get to see who's really got the social skills again. Will James and Carla be able to tap into that majority again? How's Jesse going to manage with no vote? What does he have to offer an alliance at this point? And are they going to keep his secret?
There's an awful lot of immunity idols and a couple of no votes and a steal a vote. Mm-hmm. But let's see, Carla, Cody, Gabler, and Janine all have immunity.
And if Gabler's on the team that wins, his will carry over again until he goes to tribal council.
Yep.
Likewise, if either one of the no votes, if Jesse or Janine don't go to tribal council,
yep,
they're riding a no vote into the next.
That's right.
The next phase, the next cycle. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Looking forward to it. Anything else you want to say?
I think we've talked about everything. I can't think of anything else right now.
Thanks to everybody who chimed in this week and shared your thoughts and your predictions. We enjoyed it. We appreciate hearing from all of you. Good job. We know it takes work, time, and effort to put that together and coalesce your thoughts and share them out, and we appreciate that.
And if you're playing in JSFL, don't forget to make your Week 6 picks for 1 person voted off and 4 people who are safe.
And if you want to join us on future listener feedback shows, we'd love to have you. You can call the voicemail line 206-350-1547, toll free 844-643-8737. You can record your own audio and attach it, or just type up a quick message and send it in an email to joanneandstacyshow@gmail.com, and we'll get it squared away and ready to go for the next show. Feedback's due noon Pacific time on Saturdays, and we ask you to keep it in that 3-minute range.
All right, well, we'll be back here on Wednesday with our next recap.
Have a good one.